Hey, welcome to Sports and Politics with T. I'm your host, Tanya. Tonight we have made it back to Monday, guys. Listen, I hope everybody's enjoyed their weekend. We have made it. Already the first week of July is getting ready to be gone, and we're going to talk about this last weekend of July 4th, guys. Let's give it up. That's right. We have made it, guys, and another holiday has gone. Listen, again, I hope everybody has enjoyed their weekend. It was a wonderful weekend for me. I was off, of course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I'm gonna tell you guys, this past weekend was a record breaking heat wave. Okay, so it was through the roof, guys. I mean, we hit the hundreds. All right, and I don't know where everybody else is located, but let's just say on Friday, I think we were right at 102, 103. Saturday was like 110 to 112. I want to say was the hottest that I heard in this area. So again, this was a record breaking heat wave 4th of July. But nevertheless, awesome. Had a great time, guys. Had a wonderful barbecue here at my home. I actually went live a little bit and did a short on YouTube. So y'all check it out. You can see some of my cooking abilities. And let me just say that I enjoyed and my family and friends enjoyed as well. So again, I hope everybody got together with their family and friends. And if not, and you just kind of stayed home and relaxed, hey, this was a great weekend to do it because trust me, it was just so hot. A lot of people went out for the fireworks display. Some people went downtown. Some people went to the beach. So I know quite a few people who went different places. I had a few people that went camping, and so it was a great weekend overall as far as just doing things. But trust me, guys, for me, especially with me being on the grill, I was I was swarm hot, okay? And but nevertheless, y'all check out my YouTube video and you'll see that it turned out really well. In fact, I may do a little bit more of the cooking as well. That might be something I might start doing, but we will see. Okay. But again, tonight we are going to talk about Donald Trump and we're going to talk about the 250th parade, or actually celebration, that he pretty much turned into his own celebration. Okay, let's just say there was people there, but let's just say a lot of people left too. So we're going to talk about that on this first segment with CNN, about some of the people that were there and some of the people that just couldn't take it. And trust me, it probably was hot up there too, so I wouldn't have been in line in general. So, also, we're going to be looking at one other, or actually two more segments, as far as a white nationalist group that kind of made an introduction for themselves. And let's just say the black community is in an uproar, honey, as far as we are not taking it. Okay. Now, we are going to address that with Tabitha Speaks. That's another channel that I watch. And we're going to dissect what happened and some of the things that happened during this 4th of July weekend when the white nationalist group came through and disturbed some of the Washington, D.C. Events that were going downtown. So we're going to dissect that video as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. This is with CNN. This is with Abby Phillips. Again, I'm going to let you know how I feel about this segment once it's over. And then we're going to dissect this video after it's complete. And this is just talking about the July 4th turnout for the 250th birthday celebration that Donald Trump tried to hold, but again, he made it about himself. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll let you know how I feel about it once it's over.
Birthday, House Democrats are accusing President Trump of hijacking the anniversary for his own gain. A new report claims the donors who intended to give to the congressionally approved and bipartisan America 250 were actually given bank information to the Trump-backed initiative Freedom 250 without their knowledge. Now, if those allegations are proven true, it could constitute wire fraud. Trump established Freedom 250 last year to organize July 4th events in a way that his allies could control. That includes the Great American State Fair, which has been dogged by low turnout. But despite the birthday blues, Trump plans to put himself front and center on Saturday.
On July 4th, it's going to be approximately 107 degrees out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really long speech just to show that I can do anything.
I think the big question, Ashley, for me about this is, was there ever a world in which like this moment could have been what it should be, which is a moment to actually celebrate America in a bipartisan unifying manner? Or was it made worse by the Trump decision to create this sort of like parallel structure that was actually very partisan around?
No, I think in this world, especially with Trump being president, anything he does becomes political, and it's just the facts. And we all know that. This isn't a political statement. I actually did my podcast from the lawn, and there weren't that many people there. Maybe it was my podcast, but I do have to say, though, it was early evening. But I do think that last night there were thousands and thousands of people in the same spot watching the FIFA game, the American play. So listen, I'm not going to criticize this one way or the other, and I'm going to discuss the unnamed sources in this report because unless they're going to come out and say who they are, like I don't believe anybody. But I also think that there are so many Europeans or so many people from around the world that are saying how great our country is, and we're sitting here, not just on the show, I'm just saying in general, discussing if people are at a mall or not, and instead we should be celebrating the country.
But I think that I hear you, because I do agree that everything that Trump does it becomes political either from the right or the left. But I would also take it a step further, which you may disagree with, that everything Trump does, he takes ownership of, and it becomes about Donald Trump.
Yeah, he brings it on himself. Yeah, I'm not saying
and so, yeah, and so I think we're saying the same thing. I think that yes, if you compare the 250 festivities to the World Cup festivities, they're night and day. I mean, I was in Houston, Texas, when the Netherlands was playing Sweden, and watching the Netherlands having to come out and celebrate with Houstonians was just fascinating. Or being in New York for Brazil versus Morocco and watching Brazilians take over Times Square and watching people just enjoy. You see the TikToks of people enjoying Popeyes, right? And enjoying American culture. And ranch dressing and all the things that we kind of take for granted in the essence of America. It's fascinating to see. And then I believe that if Donald Trump, which I don't believe he's capable of, but if there was a president of the United States that actually took this moment to wrap the American flag around all of us, I think that this moment would actually be what it should be, which is a celebration of America for its warts, its progresses, because I've always said we've made progress in this country. The problem is people like to put a period at the end of that when it should be a ... We still have yet a ways to go.
But it's also, I think, true. You talked about who's concerned about filling up, bodies on the mall. And I think the person most concerned about this is Trump himself. Here's what he said a few days ago about the speech that he's going to deliver on July 4th.
Half my berries went fuzzy by Wednesday every week, and I just thought that was how berries worked. My friend who works in food safety testing had a different explanation for why it kept happening. Last month, she watched me rinse strawberries under the tap.
Then on July 4th, we will have the greatest show of all on the National Mall. Your favorite president will be speaking. So please show up. Because if we have 2 empty seats, you know what's going to happen? The fake news is going to say he didn't fill out the arena.
And CNN has reported earlier this week that when he gave a speech, I think it was last weekend, and there were so many, it was empty. He became livid. But the plans for Saturday night are for him to deliver a lengthy speech late at night and then have the fireworks start basically hours later than they normally do. One White House official vented, "I don't understand why we're doing this so late. I'm not really sure who thought this was a good idea." I don't know. It seems like a lot of it is happening because Trump wants to take space.
Look, I think 2 things. One, it's hard to compete with sports in general. People just love sports, and the World Cup doesn't happen every year. Those celebrations are going to be awesome. I look at July 4th as the big day. It's really hot in D.C. right now. We've talked about the weather. To sit outside for hours on end, I don't think it matters who the president is. You're looking at, are you going to take your little kids out there for long periods of time when it's really hot? Probably not. I've been to D.C. multiple times when Obama was president and when Bush was president for the 4th of July fireworks. It's awesome. But when it's really hot, the crowds are not as big. I think having it later is actually cool. It's going to be a little cooler when it's out there. And I think it's appropriate for the president, no matter who it is, to have a grand speech about how awesome America is on the
But we don't do
250th
that.
birthday. Sure we do. We
I
absolutely
will
do.
say,
I
as
celebrate
somebody-
America. I love America.
I
I
was at-
love 250. I think it's amazing.
That's great. We all love America. And I was down there for FIFA last night. It was fun. It was great. It did not feel political whatsoever, even with all of the things around us that were like set dressing. And I agree. We do have a problem, I think, in this country of feeling pessimistic about being American. And the World Cup has been so great for that, which is why I wish everything that was set up was actually interesting. I do think that the heat and the weather is a deterrent for a lot of the crowds during the day. But I was up there, and it's kind of boring, guys. Like, can we also talk about that? The content of what is provided on the mall
What would you
also is.
rather had then?
Well, we
What
have
would you
all
done?
of the Smithsonian's along the mall. We have so many things that actually represent the
And those are open.
250th, and those could have been integrated
we've
into
also-
the whole
but we've
program,
also-
right?
we've also-
I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, the state fair, the criticism of it is that it is Trump coded. That like you would love it if you're a MAGA adherent, if you're Christian, if you're conservative, right leaning, but everybody else doesn't feel represented. That's the main
And
criticism.
that's not why we go to a fair.
But we've also
Yeah.
had an event. We've also had an event where we celebrated America just recently, just around Juneteenth. We had the opening of the Obama Library. And what you saw was, you asked, what could you do? What you saw was you had Bruce Springsteen. You had John Legend. You had.
They won't show
you
up for because Trump's president. You know that. I know that.
And
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
that
it
is,
was actually, it was
They
not,
wouldn't-
it was,
it's not
if
a
you want
you
to talk
guys.
about
So
a
you know
moment,
what?
it is a you guys.
But it was like
if
people like
Democrats would
Martina
actually just for a second
McBride.
go, man, this is
I mean,
about celebrating
she's
America.
like a raging liberal. And I think one of the things also was that all these artists, they basically said, we feel like we were duped because we thought this was the bipartisan
correct.
congressional celebration of America when it was really the Trump piece of it. And that's what people felt. That's one of the
I think
reasons that they said they pulled out.
of it is that Donald Trump won an election, and Democrats were afraid to be associated with Donald Trump because they would care more about saying, giving the middle finger to
piece
Trump
of it
than
is
celebrating
that
America.
He set up a parallel organization that he controls that is different, separate and different from the one that Congress approved, that is truly nonpartisan. That is the difference. That's the Trump piece. I didn't invent that. He
Do
did.
you actually believe, though, that John Legend, as liberal as he is,
I
gonna
didn't
show
say
up for
John
anything where
Legend.
where
Read
Donald
on
Trump
that
showed
one.
up?
I will tell you
I
this.
didn't,
Aim
I
at
didn't
that.
say John
And
Legend.
I go back to this. You should put America ahead of the
Can I-
politics,
can I-
and the left will not do it.
I
If
do
you want
wanna
to know
make
what
a
the problem is,
clarification.
it's because
I
the
wanna
left
make a-
refuses to work with anybody that doesn't agree with them.
I want to make a clarification on something because going back to the podcast, I actually had 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans on it. And the Democrats that came on, one very, very left and one more middle of the road, they turned it into, wait, am I going to get in trouble from my side of the aisle? However, I'm just going to embrace the fact that I'm sitting in front of the United States Capitol right now and
that's
took
an
it on.
mature thing
And
to
we're-
do.
No, and
Not
they were
everything has
great.
to be
They've gotten
political.
like great feedback.
The wild part about it is not
So I do wanna say
everything.
not
Not
everybody.
everything has to be political.
Yeah.
And
Then
not,
show up and sing.
but that is probably the most insensitive, wildest thing I've heard. It sounds a lot like, what did Megyn Kelly say? Shut up and dribble.
No,
But
just
the problem
if you
is-
want to
but the
celebrate
problem
America
is-
and you don't want to be partisan,
the-
then show up
but
and
the-
celebrate America
but
and
the-
not make
but
it
no.
not
But-
make
but
it about
Ben-
yourself and Donald
but
Trump's
Ben-
the president.
But Ben, what we're trying
Like the Foo Fighters, show
but
up.
wait,
They're
what-
amazing.
what
I
we're-
love them.
What we're trying to
Show
articulate
up
to you
and
is there
play
are
some
people.
music, and I will be.
There were people like Moore's Day and the Time that agreed to show up for the event that was a nonpartisan event, and they were duped.
And then the media
right? But
started
then-
asking
but then-
questions,
but
and then they
then-
got nervous.
but
And instead
then-
of saying,
but
"Hey,
then-
I'm going to
you
celebrate
see this-
America," they're like, "Oh,
but
this
then-
has Trump's name
but
on it.
then-
I got to run away."
But Ben, what we want you to do when you talk about celebrate America is one of the things I would.
It's fireworks on the
All
4th
right,
of
let me,
July.
okay, let's
Ben,
let him finish his
Can I
thought.
finish my thought?
Sure,
Yeah,
but it's
this-
fireworks on the 4th of July.
Because you're not, you interrupt because you just can't win this
Just give-
thing. But
just give
what
it
I'm
a
trying to say is, look,
2-second
Ben,
break.
thank
Finish
you.
your
Whew.
thought.
What I'm trying to say is, while you want us to celebrate America, we want to celebrate America in the diversity that makes America what it is, right?
So it's a
That-
kumbaya
Oh my
then.
God!
Okay.
No, it's not a kumbaya.
Sounds
thing.
like it.
It's
It's
a.
who did
all right.
Trump, and
Oh
then we'll
my
show
God.
up.
If this was
If
a test,
I said diversity. and
Foo
he-
Fighters and John Legend, show up.
I said diversity. And
if this
he
was a
shorts
test,
it.
I
I mean,
think,
no, but it's
I think it's been
you
failed.
guys do this
All
every
right,
time.
guys.
Trump.
This is what the president has deemed the Great American State
Wow.
Fair. But for a president who often fixates on crowd size, so far the fair on Washington's National Mall hasn't exactly lived up to the hype. I'm standing here on the National Mall, which is the site of President Trump's Great American State Fair. And as this is in place ahead of America's 250th anniversary that is coming up on July 4th, maybe nowhere better exemplifies how politics have been injected into so many of the events celebrating America's 250th.
If I die
All right, guys. So you see,
2.5 million.
I'm gonna stop it right there. You see how empty it was, guys. I mean, this is a 250th anniversary, and there was hardly nobody there. Now take it. Yes, it was hot. And he's right. I mean, who's gonna be walking around in 100-degree weather? But still, guys, I mean, people are at the World Cup celebrating with no problem. People were at the Obama Center in Chicago with no problem. And there was tons of people there. In fact, we're going to talk about that too. Um, but as you can see, you only saw just a few people around. And that right there should tell you a whole lot. People are just tired. They don't want to hear the same rhetoric. They don't want to hear it's all about him. And that's the whole point. This is what Abby and the gentleman was trying to say, that when he does do things, he turns it into his event. It's not about America and the birthday of America. No, it's about Donald Trump, what he can do. Like he said, you heard what Donald Trump said. I just want to see if I can do this. Okay. You know, nobody cares at this point. They really, really just do not care. Okay. So, but let's move on to the next segment, and then I'm gonna tell you how I feel about this one. This is talking about um, Tabitha Speaks, and she's gonna talk about some things as far as this hate group that was marching during the 250th celebration. Let's go ahead and dissect this video, and then we'll go ahead and break it down as it's over as well.
What I wanted to talk about today was the foolishness that was Donald Trump's Freedom 250 celebration. Yeah. When I finally logged on, this was the first thing that I saw. Patriot Front. Patriot Front was marching all across DC. I didn't care about the videos. I don't care. Until they uncover their faces, they are a group of cowards to me. And this is what caught my eye. This Black woman sitting on this train full of these racist, white supremacist cowards. She sat there resilient. She sat there full of her pride and dignity. And she sat there refusing to be intimidated. She had things to do. To me, she was looking at them mofos as if they was crazy. Like she was saying, I ain't got time for this foolishness today. On America's 250th celebration, this right here, this woman right here, she's my hero. And from there, once I saw all of that, I logged off and I played some Candy Crush and I watched some old episodes of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is one of my comfort shows. I don't know how many times I have watched the entire series of The Walking Dead. But that's what I watched yesterday while playing Candy Crush and relaxing on my couch in the AC. Later on in the afternoon, this is what I saw.
So I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject. That's where the racist group started marching out where the festivities were.
pandemonium, and chaos, which is a total reflection of Donald Trump and who he is as a person. Chaos, confusion, and pandemonium. Apparently, they shut things down because the weather was turning bad. And so they all had to leave the park. And all I could do was giggle. Mm-hmm. And then I saw somebody post that Donald Trump said that, yeah, there's going to be a delay, but I will be giving my speech for America's 250th, whether it happens at 11 at night or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, okay, Donald Trump, either way, I won't be listening. I logged back off. I curled up for a nap. After I woke up from my nap, this is what I saw.
Hey, have you ever been told you have a nice voice? Well, what if I told you you could turn your voice?
Y'all are not going to believe this.
Wow.
Y'all want to know what's going on there? The racist white people that were there to listen to Donald Trump speak, they had to vacate that little park where where the speech was going to take place because it was thundering and lightning. Storm came in and they had to seek shelter. They had to seek shelter in the African American National Museum.
Mm.
They had to seek shelter and safety at the Black Museum. If I was the director of that building, I saw all of those white people, you can't come in here. You can't come in here. You got to seek shelter somewhere else. No quarter. Ain't that what they like to say? No quarter. Anywho, I heard that Donald Trump ended up giving his speech at 11:30 last night. I didn't watch it. I haven't even watched any recaps of what the speech entailed because I don't care. It's the same old, same old. Lies, division, hatred, lunacy. It's the same old, same. So yeah, I'm really not interested. Anywho, that's all I got. What y'all did yesterday because I didn't celebrate. I don't know the last time I celebrated the 4th of July. I've been in remembrance on Juneteenth. Yeah. Y'all let me know your thoughts about what went down yesterday. And on top of all of that, somebody got millions of dollars over the foolishness that Donald Trump and his administration put together for America's 250. Yeah, that's all.
My name is Shane.
All right. So you see there the hypocrisy. You see that this hate group wanted to bombard and make people leave. Now we're going to talk about this segment. This is just saying what Black Americans are feeling about this, as far as this racist group that just came out of nowhere. So let's go ahead and dissect this, and then we're going to shut it on down for tonight.
50th birthday. It was just taken by Reuters on the DC Metro, and it's all of these different white nationalists who are part of the group called Patriot Front surrounding this woman, a woman of color, on the DC Metro. All of these cowards that you see in this photo are marching in DC right now as I'm filming this, carrying Confederate flags. They're covering up their faces because they don't want to own their racist beliefs. They just want to say them behind a mask. And the fact that this woman is sitting on the metro, surrounded by these freaks, and she's not moving, she's not getting up, giving them her seat, is a beautiful small act of resistance. And by the way, she has more courage in her thumb than any of these losers do in their entire bodies.
This image that you see right now is not bravery. What it is a picture of someone who probably started off their day, decided to run some errands, go to work, whatever the hell it is that they needed to do. And they got on a public transportation system in Washington, D.C., looked up at some point and realized they were surrounded by white supremacists as a Black woman. What do you do at that point? How do you react? Where do you go? You can't get off the train because you're literally surrounded. You would need to part the sea of white supremacists. You would need to part the sea of people who want you to get off of this train. If you get loud and tell them to go themselves, you might end up dead. So what do you do in this situation? If you don't know what I'm talking about, white nationalists just stormed Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. on July 4th, 2026, America's 250th anniversary. While scrolling, I saw the story being reported by Aaron Carnes, who could not even say that she was a Black woman. He literally says they want people like her. People like her. The fact that she's a Black woman is extremely relevant to the terror and the fear that she would have been feeling in that moment. Bravery implies facing something with no fear. Actually, look at the picture of this woman. Does she look like she isn't scared? Bravery implies a choice. It implies facing something with no fear. Not only does she look terrified, but this was not her choice. Flattening her emotions in this moment down to bravery creates a story of heroes and villains instead of naming it what it is. The continued victimization of citizens in this country that is allowed to happen because you are apathetic. This isn't bravery. This is what surviving terrorism looks like on a daily basis.
And she's right. I mean, just imagine you're riding a subway, train, bus, and you see a white nationalist, white supremacist group get on the same transit transportation that you're on. And there is no other Black people on that particular transportation. Like she said, what do you do? Right? What do you do?
And brutalizing them and getting detainees pregnant after them. But you look away. And then after your wrongdoing, you gaslight us. You tell us, oh, well, listen to Black people. You guys have been right the whole time. You guys are always right. So then we say, okay, we're going to try to get ourselves into leadership. We want to run for office. And then you tell us that we're unelectable. And then when your kin, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your racist dads, your racist grandfathers are being racist towards us that are trying to run for office so we can make change, so we don't have to see these people marching on the Capitol and all this other bullshit doing what have you. You look away.
This is the photo of the year. This picture was taken today, July 4th, 2026. This is a photo of a Black woman sitting on the DC Metro surrounded by white supremacist members of the Patriot Front. You never heard of the Patriot Front? They are a white nationalist organization that was created after the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in August of 2017. And this is what they're about in their own words. Pause to read. Been deemed a white supremacist hate group by both the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League. And if you're more of a visual learner, here is a video of them marching today in Washington, D.C., carrying Confederate flags.
So you see, this is live and well, guys. These hate groups still exist, okay? They're getting on transportation. They're interrupting celebrations. They're getting on, and you see right here, giving out or actually bringing in Confederate flags, which is still a symbol of hate. You know, some people say, well, it's just a symbol of the South. No, it's a symbol of hatred too, okay? So this is a photo of the year. And I'm gonna tell you what I feel. I feel like that Black young lady, deserves to be interviewed. She deserves to be applauded for her courage and just her bravery. Because imagine being surrounded and you have nowhere to turn. Okay. But she never got up. She never stood up. She never looked their direction. She looked straight ahead. And I'm pretty sure she was, of course, scared a little bit. But again, she stood her ground, right? And that's what it's all about, guys. It doesn't matter how many people get on the bus, it could be 400 to 1. She sat there and she remained in her position. And I applaud her for just being, having the courage to continue her day without being sidetracked by these loonies. Okay. Because again, anytime you got to hide your face, that's a coward. Okay. That's someone that can't face you. That's someone that cannot, they don't have the bravery like you think, and the bravery always comes in numbers to them. They cannot stand on their own one on one, and they have to have their face hidden. And I would say to any group like that, whether it's the KKK or this group right here, why don't you show your face? Okay. If you really are about who you say you are and you are what you are, why hide what your identity is? We know you're white, so just why don't you take off the sheets, take off the mask, and let's see what you look like. Talk the game without the mask, right? So that's all I'm going to say about this. But again, I'm just going to applaud that young lady because she deserves some recognition for just being on that bus and just being in her position, right? Being proud and not wavering, not bowing down, and not getting up. Okay. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to touch on that for tonight. I'll be back on Thursday at 8 p.m. And if you enjoy the content, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you can, please hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any episodes every time I come on to YouTube. I'll be back on Thursday. And I hope everybody enjoyed for tonight. All right. Well, I am so happy. And again, catch me on Thursday at 8 p.m. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Bye bye.